used to be part of the journalism ethics course at Columbia University. And I think everybody ought to go back and watch Absence of Malice and see what was being told there. Laura Kirchner, who wrote this, and a former Columbia Journalism Review assistant editor, said that people forget that they're talking to actual people, people who have to live with the effects of what people write about them. That gotcha journalism is not the kind of journalism that we should have. People should be more circumspect in what they write and be more concerned when they write something suggesting something of a nefarious or salacious nature without having some understanding. A deleted tweet is not necessarily something that's harmful, and that's why I did the entire tweeting and deleting. And this press release will be tweeted and it'll be deleted, so people will see it. That's the way to get press in this day because of the Sunshine Foundation. So if anybody has a question, yes.
Guys, if you look toward our main camera, it seems like this is a payback for the incident with your daughter. Is that the way we're to take this?
It's a little bit of a lesson that the press should have learned before it happened, but once having been a victim, I think it's a good idea to try to take a negative and turn it into a positive, and hopefully have people pay a little bit more attention to what they write and to realize that their actions do have long-lasting effects on people's lives. And I think that before trying to be the first person to get something and to try to be cutesy and say that something was a flirty tweet, they ought to think about it. And I think in the future when people see deleted tweets, they're going to think, is this a deleted tweet? Is this something that somebody deleted because they were ashamed of it? Or maybe somebody has got a Paul Newman on them.
Yeah. You said that you hoped that this would publicize the music event more so than any other method that you could think of. Do you think that you were successful in that, or do you think that this has been a distraction? And also, has this been a distraction for your constituents?
No, my constituents want the world to come to Memphis to listen to our music. It's one of our great tourist attractions. We've got Graceland, we've got the Stax Museum, we've got the Rock and Soul Museum, we've got Sun Records. It's one of our great tourist attractions, and the broadcast at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on PBS is going to take it's a phenomenal performance, believe me. It is phenomenal. And people are going to remember, if they don't, Memphis music, and they'll hopefully come to Memphis. They already come a lot, but we hope they'll come more. So it's good for my district. I publicize my district every chance I can, and that's what I wanted to do. And I think it's been very successful. Most of the stories that were written mentioned Memphis music. They mentioned the show. So I think we've been successful in what we tried to do, and hopefully you will allow us to, by your reportage, further the word on both Memphis music and the idea of journalists being a little bit more circumspect in the way they approach sometimes stories that could be looked at in two fashions.
Congressman, I'm sure that you can imagine that some people won't believe you.
Hey, call John Yarmouth at Judge Horton, who I talked to about it on Monday on the floor, and said, boys, wait till you see what I do this week with the press. So call Yarmouth or call Horton. And I called Toby Moffett, for that matter. There are a few other people I told. I said, we're going to have fun this week. Yes, ma'am.
What would you say to your constituents who might not appreciate the fact that you're taking time to trick the media, as you say, and pull this stuff?
My constituents will love this. It's promoting Memphis music. If I spend my time promoting my city and promoting one of our primary cultural advantages, you look at the wall, there's Isaac Hayes, there's Elvis Presley. If you go around here, there's music. That's one of the things Memphis is famous for. And one of the things you do as a congressman is promote your city, and when you're the minority, you've got a lot more time to promote your city.
Do you feel that word you used was, I couldn't believe how hot you were, and that might not be, that could be interpreted as you were commenting on her physical appearance. Do you think that's appropriate language to be using to a woman performer? I mean, for a member of Congress to...
You know, if I had said it about Justin Timberlake, y'all would have written I was gay. Okay. And his performance was hot too. And so was Eddie Floyd's, and so were the Alabama Shakes. And if it was the Alabama Shakes, you might have thought I was trying to get into a group scene. Who knows?
Congressman, there's also the question of truth and disclosure, where people look to their lawmakers to be honest in all their dealings. Does this fly in the face of that in any way?
That was honest. It was she was hot. It was a hot performance. I will see her Tuesday night, as I hope everybody else does, on the PBS broadcast. And Try a Little Tenderness is the song she sang. Now, if you want to look at it, think about it in some other way, so be it. I was honest. Truth is in the eye of the beholder.
Did you get any sort of reaction from Cyndi Lauper about this?
Not yet, and she is married, which I didn't realize. I kind of Googled her afterwards. I probably will write her a note. But you know, she did an album in Memphis, and that's when I went to the floor to do my 1 minute, and that was kind of a continuation of the kind of my idea. But certainly, I was given an opportunity by a previous speaker, Mr. Jordan, who talked about the show and said that Justin, he didn't mention Justin Timberlake, but he said that Otis Redding's Sitting on the Dock of the Bay was performed, and it was the same thing, nothing's going to change. And I used that as an opportunity to do my 1 minute and say that he should have listened to Mr. Lauper and the whole Republican team ought to try a little tenderness with the president. And then went in. But I do appreciate the fact she recorded an album in Memphis. We want to have music recorded in Memphis now, and we do have studios. And she did the album, which was one of the top 10 blues albums of 2010. And she recorded it in Memphis, and that's something we want more people to do. So I think she deserves a little shout out from me because she's given a worldwide shout out to Memphis.
So does she have any idea that you were gonna do this guerrilla publicity for Memphis?
No, I don't think she does.
I mean, if it happened to you, because you're saying that the press should be more circumspect and careful about how we treat politicians, the fact that you threw her kind of out there, I'm sure she loves the publicity with Kinky Boots and stuff having just come out, but I mean, is this a little bit of practicing what you preach maybe?
I don't really see where you're coming from with that. I think this is all good for her. I mean, she did a great album. It sold 600,000 copies in 2010. Hopefully some people think about it. I think Cyndi Lauper's in the media. When you're a musician, you want to have that publicity. Warren Zevon, I've got one of Warren's records, gold records up here, and pictures around of him, was one of my best friends. And publicity is good. Being on David Letterman is good. Having people think about your music is good. And the fact that, personally, the fact that somebody might have thought that I thought that Cyndi Lauper was attractive, I don't think that's a terrible thing to have said about you. We're still in the, birds do it, bees do it, even ordinary fleas.
Do you think that this affects your credibility with the press, though, at all? And then also, do you feel like tricking the press into covering a story is the right thing to do?
I think it is when the press runs a story on you, as they did 2 months ago, that was totally wrong. And I think that when they, again, go and see a deleted tweet and assume there's something wrong with it, that the press needs to realize deleted tweets does not necessarily have a stamp of disapproval on it. That the press needs to do a little research and a little soul searching before they jump into suggesting that there's some suggestive statement or some suggestive tweet going out there between two parties, particularly when one's married and one isn't. The press needs to see that. And this was an opportunity for all of you to take a little extra look. And I, as a victim, think that I should try to bring that forward. And I think I have. And as far as how the press, if I delete a tweet in the future, I don't think y'all are going to jump on it.
Do you plan on doing anything?
I'm going to do it with my press release so that people will see it. Because otherwise it's just gone. But if you delete it, then people look at it and think, wow, this must be something.
Congressman, you said you felt like the victim in the previous case, but why didn't you immediately respond to press requests for comment? And then you also mentioned that journalists didn't follow up on the good story, but I know for a fact that isn't true, that many journalists tried to pursue a further story after learning that it was in fact your daughter. What do you say to that?
First of all, just like in Absence of Malice, there were other parties involved. And Paul Newman in that movie, the character, there's a great script that was written by Kurt Ludke. He couldn't release what he knew because it would hurt the person who in that movie ended up committing suicide in that book. There are people involved, and there was a person involved who I couldn't come out and defend myself. I would have accepted whatever y'all wrote, whatever salacious, if it was necessary, to protect the situation in Texas. That was the most important thing to me. It wasn't talking to y'all, and it wasn't my quote-unquote reputation. And as far as I think CNN did, and Jeff Zucker did a nice job afterwards. I think that Tom Minty from up in Philly did a nice job. Otherwise, I think that, I don't know that I responded, but I think most of the press afterwards wanted to get more stories about my daughter and not about the rest of it. And my daughter's life is private, and my life with her is private, and it's going to stay that way. It's nobody's business. And Joe Biden can throw in the middle word.
Congressman, because there's some cynicism underway, hope you'll pardon me asking whether this might be a smokescreen for something we've yet to find out.
About what?
If that's you to tell us. Is there anything out there that this is designed to distract from that is about to pop anywhere?
No.
Yeah, I can't think of anything at all. I mean, North Korea having a rocket? No. Peace in the Middle East? Nope. Reasonable gun deal? Reasonable immigration law? NIH getting new funding? I don't think any of that stuff's happening today.
But with yourself personally?
No, I'm gonna probably take a nap. Nothing special. I was up late last night.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Congressman, was your staff in on your trick?
I'm a one-trick pony.
Did you tell your daughter that you're going to do this?
No.
I had seen you quoted that your date was attractive. Can you tell us who your date was?
That's, again, that's really nobody's business. My personal life is my personal life.
You talk about that, but aren't you bringing your daughter back into the media by bringing this sort of publicity to yourself again?
It's not about publicity to me. I hope you see it's about you. The story's not about me. The story's about the press and how the press responds to things and where they look and what they see. And it's about Memphis music. And that's what I hope the story would be. And that's going to be up to y'all how you play it. But the story's about a great musical presentation, a great cultural art form, a great city that's proud of their music, and a press that is kind of looks at other things. I mean, really, it's amazing. I've made speeches on the floor about National Institute of Health losing $1.6 billion this year. That being, in my opinion, the Department of Defense that protects us against cancer, Alzheimer's, AIDS, Parkinson's, diabetes. Those are the enemies. And the Department of Defense is the National Institute of Health, and we're cutting $1.6 billion. I've made 5 speeches on the floor. I don't think any of those YouTube videos have had more than 50 viewers. And they've had very few column inches, if any. Those are the real stories. And, I've been trying to work on that issue and other issues, trying to get Memphis to be recognized by the president as one of our, cities that needs some federal help. And there are all kind of issues we're working on. Student debt. I was with Susie Orman. I don't think that hearing that we had in the Visitor Center on Tuesday, we talked about the massive amount of student debt, $1 trillion, the bill I've got to allow people to discharge in bankruptcy. I don't think it got any attention whatsoever. So we're doing a lot of work on issues, but I don't think the press is seeing them.
Have you ever done this before? Are there other tweets of yours that you sent out that weren't true or that were intended to have a separate meaning?
No. I've done some misspellings of some tweets that were misspelled, and I looked at them and went, fan spelling. I hadn't figured out spell check on Twitter. I'm pretty good. I'm getting pretty good on this, and I think well, some people suggested I should give up Twitter. I think I've used Twitter in a way nobody else has used it, and I've kind of learned it. But that's beyond Twitter. That's maybe having a recall of the absence of malice. But being a single guy, I've got to learn these things on my own, and there's trial and error, and the error is sometimes larger than because of the position I'm in. But I think I've done pretty good learning on my own. I've got Twitter fairly well down now.
Based on this publicity stunt, if you will, and the immediate attention that you've garnered from it, do you plan on using this like tweet and delete mode of attack basically in the future to gain more media attention for other issues?
Well, hopefully you won't look at the pilot groups anymore because you'll realize that you don't know whether what's the meaning there. And it's the Sunshine Foundation that I'm really kind of upset about. I really think their pilot groups that they got from the Netherlands is part of what this media has gone to assume that when you delete something, that you're doing it to hide something. Sometimes you delete it just because you broadcast it in the wrong arena. And that's what happened with me, and I was learning, and you've got so many, I've got an iPad and an iPod and a BlackBerry, and I'm getting it together. But sometimes, it's a learning process. And so you delete it. Well, I wasn't hiding anything, really. I just kind of put it on the wrong station. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
This week on Newsmakers, House Armed Services Committee Chairman Buck McKeon. The California congressman talks about his criticism